But anyway, one of the new developments in TV that we've been hearing about already on this program, and it's changing everything from ad sales to measurement, is the launch of addressable spots in national TV inventory. So I'd like to welcome John Watts and his panelists who'll give us an update on the latest developments. Now, John's the director of a new industry think tank to be announced soon, and he's a longstanding consultant to the media industry. So take it away, John. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jane, and thank you to CIMM for hosting today's event. It's always one of the standouts of the year, and great to see so many familiar faces. So we are here today to take stock of recent progress in the development and rollout of addressable TV in the US. Obviously, addressable in all of its various forms has been one of the most exciting and important developments and growth opportunities for the industry in the last few years. And it's clearly attracting really significant investment across the industry. But it also presents some really interesting challenges in terms of infrastructure, in terms of sales operations, in terms of measurement, of course, and standardization. So our plan for this panel is to really explore recent progress. What's really changed in the last 12 to 18 months? What does that mean for the industry? What are the priorities for the 12 to 18 months ahead? So let's get going. I'd like to start, if we can, by bringing my other three panelists up. There we are, fantastic. So I'm going to start by asking each of my panelists to introduce themselves and just give us their reflections on what's really changed, what progress has been made during the last 12 to 18 months. So Rob, take it away.
Sure, thank you, John. I'm Rob Klippel. I head up our advertising products as well as data teams for Spectrum Reach, which includes all things addressable. So I from my perspective, what's changed, I think there's been a lot of individual efforts and success stories. We for quite a while have been using our viewership and audience data for more effective planning and targeting and attribution for our own media and our own sales team. We're starting to work with external partners to enable, beyond our 2 minutes an hour to some of the network time as well. And we've done that with various network groups, both across VOD, our streaming assets, and linear TV. And I know that we're not unique. Other distributors, connected TV partners have worked with networks as well. I think what's changing now is we're starting to move from internal focus to external focus on how we're using our data. And now from an individual effort to an industry collaboration on how we can work more effectively to enable the network inventory, the full ad load, if you will.
So it's really moving into the mainstream and becoming the industry norm in a sense, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got you. Fantastic. Kevin?
How you doing, Jonathan? Kevin Arrix, Senior Vice President, Dish Media. That is the portfolio of Dish Satellite and Sling TV, OTT service. Last 12 to 18 months, addressable. Man, I think there's a long list of things. I actually like Rob's summation. I think a lot of internal efforts and a lot of discovery on the distributor side. What is working and what do we need to do to get things working. But to expand a little bit, I mean, I think the way we look at it is, breaking out the 2 minute of inventory, 2 minutes of inventory that we operate, and then, of course, there's the bigger piece of the pie, the 14 minutes that the programmers operate nationally. From our point of view, from the 2 minutes, I think the process is getting is markedly improved over the last 12 to 18 months. By all distributors that are participating. I think there is better workflow and work streams with the demand side with agencies. You look at some of the acquisitions that were made by holding companies. I think those data platform assets are incredibly well set up for facilitating addressable and have made a big difference in overall. Just making it more streamlined. I think there's other, I think when you talk about addressable TV in the 2 minutes, the folks tend to go to precision and targeted advertising. And while that is still a core use case, I think in the last 12 to 18 months, Dish and certainly other distributors have found new ways to apply addressable technology. Reach incrementality is one use case. That is a big hot button in the industry, and the distributors are all in a really good position to deliver that with the subscriber data and viewership data. I also think that precision targeting on addressable has expanded to broader targeting, whether it's demos or even suppression. Removing audiences that are completely unlikely to purchase any given product. So I think it's becoming more sophisticated, and it's becoming more turnkey for demand side. And then 14 minutes, a lot's happening. I mean, we had 2 feet in the water last year in 2020, and one was a direct sort of aggregate addressable relationship that we have with a programmer. Another is through a third-party tech company called Adressable that a handful of programmers are plugged into. They both were live in 2020. We learned a lot, and I think 2021. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about it coming up, but a lot's happening. A lot has happened, and I expect the acceleration to continue.
I mean, it's a real sense listening to you talk of the options proliferating and some of the underlying techniques and processes really starting to mature.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Adam, let's bring you in. Adam, what's your sense of what progress we've made? Obviously, your new role is progress of a sort, but
yeah, but it's 6 months already, so it's old news, right? And I couldn't agree with what was already said. There's been so much progress, and from my vantage point, we work a lot with the different networks out there, and they're all stepping in really fast to figuring this out, and not just with one platform, but with multiple opportunities. And so I think the other thing that I see happening more and more is when I look around just this group alone, we're talking more to each other, because I think we all bring different parts of the ecosystem together. And I think the word interoperability is probably something that I use quite a bit. And I'm going to continue to push on that, as I know that what we want to do is bring as many screens and as many capabilities as possible, so that when the networks are enabled and when other inventories are enabled, they're going to have the opportunity to really have addressable at scale.
Fantastic. And Kelly, let's bring you in. What's your sense of progress during the last 12 months?
I think I echo my fellow panelists' comments. A lot of optimism. The consumer has changed. The change is here, and it's going to continue. And I think as I look at during the height of the pandemic, the use of television was at an all-time high, whether that was traditional TV or CTV streaming. And so people were absolutely, using the television in different ways, but also still in ways that many of our programming clients have leaned into as to how to follow that consumer. If you look at the last quarter of Q4 2020, CTV was up by 13% versus prior year ago. You do need to consider the base of what that growth is built upon, where traditional television was down by 8%. But the stat that I think is pretty telltale is that when you look at total usage of television in December of 2020, 73% of all those total TV minutes were to traditional TV. So I think there's a lot of optimism to bring together CTV and linear, because when you think about it, even though inventory and budgeting and allocation may still be done somewhat separately, I think we can all say that bringing these things together in the end drives the best efficiency and scale.
Got you. Well, that's definitely a theme we're going to come back to, time permitting. So I wanted to start just by very quickly seeing if there's some consensus on the panel about the kind of priority that addressable is. We've been talking about addressable, many of us, for the best part of a decade now, and it's only really in the last couple of years, I guess you could say, that addressable at scale, and certainly nationally, has become a reality in the US market. I mean, Kevin, it's February 2021. What's your sense of how important addressable is to the US industry at this point in time? Where does it sit in the pecking order of priorities in your view?
Well, I have a very jaded view. No, I mean, we're obviously super pro addressable, and I think what I won't go through the full list of items that we think that make addressable as big of a priority as is today. But leading, there are two that I will mention, and I'm sure others will fill in. One is I think one of the positive outcomes of COVID, if there are any, is that it's put a greater emphasis on accountability and return on ad spend, right? Like, I feel like more marketers today need to know the impact of every dollar spent. And addressable brings that, right? The other one I would say is having spent a number of years in the digital business, the measurement capabilities, the planning capabilities and targeting capabilities and measurement capabilities all tied into digital are compelling. And I think they're putting pressure on the TV business to start to deliver outputs like digital, and I think addressable television is our version of digital. And I know obviously IP television is digital, but I'm talking about sort of linear television, satellite, cable. I think those are two really important items that have always been important, but I think they're rising up the priority list.
And Kelly, I guess you'd agree. I mean, if we're talking about things that can help us to protect and grow the advertising industry, there's nothing more important than addressable at this point.
Yeah, I would agree. I think just to add on top, I think the flexibility and accountability comment that Kevin made is dead on. But I would also add that advertising, given where we find ourselves coming out of a pandemic, can be an accelerant to kind of rebooting an economy. And when you really think about it, it's good for competition. It's good for new brands, new players to come in. And addressable makes that a real feasible opportunity. You know, today, the top 200, 250 big brand advertisers have an opportunity to advertise on television, not necessarily the scale of 10 million that advertise on social media sites like Facebook. And when you think about content production, it's expensive. And as these models continue to evolve and everyone's trying to get the ad model just right for the end consumer across the way in which they consume, addressable brings an ability to flex those ad models, an ability to bring new types of advertising, interactive ads, overlays, et cetera. So, you know, addressable really has the ability to help bring that flexibility and accountability, but more importantly, I think help to, you know, bring the advertising more seamlessly to the consumer the way that they're expecting to embrace it in the years ahead.
And all of which feels mission critical to me. So, Adam, I guess my next question I'd just love to explore with you briefly is the different flavors of addressable. The interesting thing, obviously, about TVs at this point in time is that there are lots of different ways of delivering targeted campaigns. There's linear addressable, there's VOD on cable platforms and other platforms, there's streaming services on CTVs. Give us a sense of these different inventory pools. Do you see them as essentially interchangeable, or do they play a different role in the addressable ecosystem?
Yeah, no, so look, and I get to work for a TV, right, that can see everything that hits the screen. So I think, you know, VIZIO is in a unique position in that, you know, with its ACR data, we know what's happening on the screen, and that's a good thing. I think each of the types of inventory play their own role, but because of data sets like ACR, right, you have the ability to start now seeing what happens in the different tranches of inventory on the different screens. You know, what we're doing with Project Door is specifically focused on linear TV. And we look at that as being an incredible bridge as we help not only the television networks and the inventory owners, but the marketers make the move into streaming and connected TV. And so what addressable as a whole does is, to Kelly's point, is to get different types of you know, revenue flowing and different types of advertising capabilities and different types of conversations that happen with buyers, and it's an exciting time because now you've got different abilities to reach that same audience, and measurement is getting closer and closer to being able to say, here's your total audience.
And Rob, are you broadly on the same page? Would you see?
I think I am. I think data has changed, how marketers, approach reaching their audiences. Certainly addressability has existed in digital and streaming content. Now it's bringing TV and traditional TV into that realm as well. And while, as Adam said, each one of those pools of inventory might, serve a different function. I think you could also look at it as, I now, can collectively pool all this TV-like content or TV content, regardless of medium, and reach the audience. And that's where I think, the key is being able to plan, cross-platform campaigns, if you will, using the same, the audience has to be the same. What you're pulling back, the data you're pulling back, so you can report and do attribution, and even look at, reach and frequency that's not today platform by platform, but holistically across the campaign and even across the media partners that different advertisers or agencies might be buying from. So as we evolve and bring TV into addressability, I think one of the earlier panelists said, we're working on the 14 minutes. That doesn't mean all 14 minutes are going to be addressable. I agree with that, but being able to pull that TV content into the broader addressable pool, and with consistent data, consistent audience definitions, and be able to look at how a campaign is performing holistically is going to be crucial.
So one of the other big developments of the last year, of course, has been some tremendous progress in the rollout of national addressable. And obviously we've had some really interesting campaigns delivered in that space quite recently, really. Give us a sense of the reality of national addressable today. What really can be done at this point in time? Where have we improved things in the last 12 months? Sorry, that's to Rob.
Okay, yeah. So no, I like I said, I think that there has been a lot of kind of success at an individual level, meaning different distributors or connected devices, working with programmers and network content to enable, beyond the 2 minutes an hour that's allocated to local. And it's been successful. I mean, we've shown that we can do it. The technology finally, I think, somebody might have said we've been talking about addressability for quite a while. TV's finally got, the technology is finally in place. I think, everybody on this panel and largely, most of the distribution has the ability to do addressability into network content. And now we've shown that we can extend that into, the 14 minutes an hour as well. Now it's, how do we look at this and combine the efforts so that it's easier for a programmer, it's easier for the buy side to transact across those different paths. So, that's where, OpenAP first started up to kind of look at how, standards and coming up with kind of industry alignment, and then, more recently, I think the Unaddressable initiative that, it started initially with us partnering with Comcast and Cox, but it's not meant to be an MVPD. It's meant to be another vehicle to drive kind of alignment and identifying common definitions, where there are hurdles to scale, and to work together as an industry to figure out how to now truly enable in a more seamless way addressability across multiple different paths.
Okay, we're already running perilously short of time, so I'm going to direct the next set of questions to each one of you, and I'm going to beg for a pithy, succinct answer. Kelly, it's a CIMM event. We have to ask a measurement question. We're duty bound. Do we have the right measurement solutions in place to support the growth and development of addressable during the next few years? Is everything there, or are we building towards it?
Yeah, I think the announcement from Nielsen in November of last year is a pretty big step change. I know everyone focused on that 2024 end date. I would ask no one to even think about that date, because from my point of view, the progress that has been made is substantial from the sense of there's going to be impact data coming to the market this year in which to start to bring this journey about. We all know that currency doesn't change overnight. It's really important that buyers and sellers have the right understanding in which to accurately forecast inventory and execute against a plan. And so I think, they have 55 million devices now in which to bring together and reconcile the biggest challenge that has been holding back addressable, which is how to make sure C3, C7 can truly be flexible. And it's not just about C3, C7 moving forward. It's about, like I said, how to bring that full view, regardless of how a consumer consumes content and ads, together in one simplistic view. And that's really the promise of Nielsen One. It's there to enable reach and frequency deduplication across all screens. And very appreciative of many partners here on this panel that are leaning in with us, bringing their data, looking for their DAI and addressable measurement ecosystems to be included, because measurement is going to include all of us to lean in and work together. But I do think we're on the precipice of really being able to move much more quickly with a lot more flexibility and really answer the call of what we're hearing from buyers and sellers alike, which is flexibility, accountability, and speed of execution.
Thank you very much. Adam, to you, we've got various efforts underway in the market at present to support standardization and interoperability. OR is obviously one of them. The On Addressability Initiative is another. Give us very quickly, 3 sentences. Are these initiatives sufficient? Are they making real progress? Are they helping at this point?
Yeah, so I can tell you, OR is making progress. OR is working, and we've got our network partners absolutely in production doing addressable today, and that's because of OR. I also think you see what On Addressability is doing, and that's working. And so again, from the get-go, it's about how to work together as an industry to really drive addressability. But yes, these initiatives are working. They're getting people centralized around these ideas of how to make addressability happen, whether it's on a smart TV screen, on a set-top box, or any other platform. They are working.
Fantastic. Kevin, a quick one to you, sir. Intermediaries, converged buying platforms, marketplaces, there are lots of different attempts to simplify the transactional process for addressable. Again, do you think these are working? Are they really helping the addressable market move forward? Do they make it easier for the buy side?
Well, I think that the last few words that you said are the most important ones, which is, do they help the buy side? That is effectively what has to happen. When you look at the biggest pain points as articulated by the buy side and agencies and advertisers, there is a need for streamlining the planning process and the count process, which is mapping your distributor's footprint to the target audience trying to be reached. You need measurement unification, right? Like it's not going to be good enough for a distributor to say, oh, here's my report, here's how my stuff worked, and other distributors do the same thing, or smart TVs. Like, we all need to permission and be okay with our results being aggregated so that the advertiser can see a holistic view of the impact that addressable television had, right? And I think when you talk about different inventory pools, they have to be unified. I think Adam Gerber, I think was participating earlier. Like, we had a meeting with him a year and a half ago. Now Dish and Sling have been positioned together, combined footprints for a while now, but he was like, I don't want to hear about this satellite does this and OTT does that. Like, just give me the audience that reaches the target group and is going to make the impact that my marketer is looking for. So I think unification on supply and unification on measurement are intermediaries that we all need.
Fantastic. A final word from each of our panelists, but it's one word only: yes or no. Can addressable be 20% of TV ad spend by 2025? Kelly, yes or no?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes, and prior to that.
Rob?
Yes, as well.
Fantastic. That's a great way to end. Thank you so much. That's been a fantastic race through where we're at with addressable. Much appreciated. Jane, back to you.
Hey, thanks very much, John, Rob, Kevin, Adam, and Kelly. And I like it. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. 20% by 2025 or before. So, it'll be interesting to watch this as it develops in 2021 and beyond here.